Welcome to the deep dive. If you're anything like us, you've probably spent the last year or so just wading through AI headlines. It's kind of a mess, isn't it?
It really is. You get this mix of like wild utopian promises or total doom and gloom or these super technical guides that frankly lose most people after the first paragraph.
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to do today. Cut through all that noise. We want to give you, the listener, a practical playbook. This deep dive is really about staying ahead of AI.
And the core idea we found threading through all the research is pretty simple. Put human judgment first. Always.
Right. We really need to shift away from this language of, controlling the machine. That sort of sets up a power struggle that isn't helpful.
Yeah, it's not about control, it's about ownership. The approach we're focusing on is the human first, tool second principle.
Human first, tool second. I like that.
And the taglines that kept emerging, the ones to really hold on to, are things like, use it, don't let it use you, or stay in charge, stay ahead.
And the big one?
The big one, the thinking stays human. That's absolutely crucial.
Because AI is amazing, no doubt. It can draft emails, summarize ridiculously long reports, sort through data, plan content. It can really trim away the daily grind.
It saves those little pockets of time that add up, but that power, well, it becomes useless or even a bit dangerous if you check your own judgment at the door.
Or your instincts.
Yeah.
Or, frankly, your sense of humor, which AI definitely doesn't have.
Definitely not.
Okay, so let's dive into segment one. What AI really is, and maybe what it isn't. Let's demystify this thing.
Let's do it. First things first. AI isn't magic. It's software. It might feel mysterious, but it's not. And despite what you might read in some corners of the internet, it's absolutely not sitting there plotting your downfall.
Okay, but if it's not magic, why does it often feel so, uncanny? How does it seem to get what I'm asking so well?
That's because it's trained on mountains of data to mimic understanding. It's incredibly good at it, but you have to grasp its core limitation. We've been calling it the blind craftsman analogy.
Blind craftsman. Explain that.
Well, AI is fundamentally blind. It has no physical senses, no lived experience in the world like we do.
But hang on. It can describe a picture in detail or write dialogue that feels real. How is that blind? Doesn't that show it sees the nuances?
It sees the pattern of the nuances. It's processed trillions of words, images described as data points. It doesn't see a sunset like we do or smell rain or feel surprise. It just processes data patterns and spits out other patterns that look right to us. Think about it like this. Imagine describing a massive thunderstorm. You felt the air change, you heard that deep rumble, you saw the lightning flash.
Yeah.
The AI gets the data points, the sound frequency, the barometric pressure drop, but it never gets the actual experience of seeing that flash light up the sky. It gets the information, but zero context from lived reality.
Okay, that makes sense. And that probably links straight to the biggest user headache.
Yeah.
Inaccuracy,
Yeah.
or what people call AI lying.
Exactly. But it isn't lying because, well, it doesn't understand truth or falsehood. It doesn't have intent. It's essentially a guessing machine.
A guessing machine.
Yeah, it's playing a super fast, high-stakes game of statistical join the dots. What's the most probable word to come next? What data point usually follows this pattern? The output is often a very clever guess, delivered with total confidence.
And the confidence is the dangerous part.
That's the trap, because fluency feels like accuracy and confidence feels like competence. But with AI, that's often not true. That's maybe the single most important takeaway. Fluency isn't accuracy. Confidence isn't competence.
We should all have that printed out. So how does this lack of real-world grounding, this sort of blindness, actually show up when you use it?
It pops up whenever the task involves physical space or complex reality. There was this great anecdote in the research, The House That Never Was.
Okay.
Someone asked an AI to draw a simple house floor plan properly scaled, and the blueprint it generated. Mathematically, it was perfect. The dimensions were spot on.
But I have a feeling there was a problem.
You couldn't build it. You couldn't even walk through it in theory. Rooms were overlapping, walls intersected impossibly, and crucially, there were no doors.
No doors.
None. Because the AI handles numbers brilliantly, but it has zero intuitive sense of space, of this thing goes next to that thing. It's never physically been in a house.
Wow. Okay. It can count the bricks, maybe quote the architect, but it can't actually imagine walking through the front door.
Precisely. And that right there highlights the human monopoly. AI crunches numbers and probabilities. We operate on nerves, feelings, gut instinct stuff honed over millions of years. We provide the meaning. We decide if the answer actually fits the real world.
We're the reality check.
We are the essential link.
Okay, so now that we've sort of pulled back the curtain a bit, let's talk about actually using it without being terrified. I think a lot of people worry they'll click the wrong thing and, I don't know, break the internet.
Right, that big red button fear, which, just to be clear, you absolutely cannot do. The AI runs on massive servers somewhere else. You're just using its brain power remotely.
Phew. Okay, but you mentioned there are a couple of genuine dangers. What are they?
They're more social and informational dangers, not technical ones. Danger number 1, telling it something confidential.
Ah,
Rule 1 is simple. Never type anything into an AI prompt that you wouldn't be comfortable shouting in a crowded room.
because it's like a giant digital parrot with a perfect memory.
Exactly. A loudspeaker with perfect recall. Once confidential data goes in, assume it's potentially public. It's not a secure fold.
Got it. Okay, danger number 2.
Believing everything it tells you. Rule 2, never, ever trust the first answer without checking it. Treat AI like a really enthusiastic, chatty stranger you meet in a pub.
Okay.
They might be genuinely smart, have interesting things to say, but you know they might get things wrong sometimes, right? And you definitely wouldn't give them your bet details just because they sounded confident.
Good analogy. Don't hand over the keys to the kingdom based on charm.
Exactly.
So, once we're past the fear, it seems like the real power, the real control, comes down to the question you ask. We need to ditch this idea that there's some secret setting for brilliance, the secret switch myth.
Totally. The difference between getting nonsense back and getting something truly useful is almost always the quality of the prompt. Think of AI like a super fast, very bright apprentice who is also incredibly literal.
Literal how?
Well, if you vaguely ask it to, say, write about sales, it might give you 10,000 words on the history of commerce. It won't stop and ask, wait, what kind of sales? For who? How long should it be? It just goes.
Right, it doesn't have that common sense filter to ask clarifying questions.
Not unless you build it into the prompt. That's why we strongly recommend the layered prompting strategy, basically. Build it up. Don't blurt it out.
Okay, walk me through that. Let's use a real-world example, something more complex than just asking about solar panels. Say, I need to figure out the main competitive threats from a dense market research report I don't have time to read fully.
Perfect. If you just dump the report in and ask what are the threats, you'll get.
Well, probably the whole report summarized poorly. You need layers.
Layer 1. Start broad and define the source. Analyze this specific file, the Q3 market research report. Identify the top 3 competitive threats mentioned within it. Be specific about the source.
Okay, makes sense. Layer 2.
Refine the audience and scope. Okay, now take those 3 threats and summarize them for an executive team. They only need the key bullet points for a quick decision. You're telling it who it's for and what format they need.
Got it. And layer 3.
Add tone, format, and constraints. Write that summary like a concise risk briefing. Prioritize actionable insights. And keep the whole thing under 200 words.
So you're forcing it to synthesize, extract, and stick to limits, not just generate text.
Exactly. That's where you harness its power effectively. You're directing its processing power intelligently.
That makes it feel much more like a tool I can actually direct. Now, what about this other issue, the polite parrot problem? The fact that AI often just agrees with you, even if your idea is terrible.
Yeah, it's programmed to be helpful, to give you what it thinks you want. So if you ask, is my brilliant new marketing plan absolutely perfect? It's statistically likely to say, yes, it's flawless. Because that's a positive response.
Which is not helpful if the plan is actually full of holes.
Not at all. So the fix is simple. You have to tell it to be critical. Assign it a role that has skepticism built in.
So instead of asking for praise, you actively ask it to find the flaws.
Precisely. Flip the dynamic. Tell it. Act as a highly skeptical venture capitalist who is looking for reasons not to invest in this plan. Identify the 3 biggest weaknesses.
Or maybe read this draft like a really grumpy, detail-obsessed proofreader and point out every single error or awkward phrase.
Yes. That forces the polite parrot to actually use its analytical skills for critique, not just validation. You get that essential friction you need for a proper assessment.
Okay, that's a really practical tip. Let's move into segment 3. Trust, verification, and ultimately, ownership.
Right, and this loops back to that confidence trap we mentioned. We know AI is like a confident gambler, making bets based on statistics. But its tone. It sounds so certain, so knowledgeable.
Like a professor delivering a lecture.
Exactly, but remember, its authority comes from pattern-matching terabytes of text, not from actually experiencing the world or understanding context deeply.
And that's why even smart people get caught out, right? We know we should verify, but That confident tone plus the sheer speed. It just feels convincing.
It overwhelms our usual critical filter sometimes. When something delivers a plausible, well-written answer in seconds, our brains kind of default to, wow, efficient, must be right. Verification needs to be quick and easy, not a huge research project.
So for the listener who's busy, let's outline the verification ladder. Simple steps. What's rung number one?
The smell test. Fastest and often the best. Does something it said just feel a bit off? A date, a name, a supposed fact. Trust that hesitation. That gut feeling is your evolved human information filter kicking in. Don't ignore it.
Okay, trust the gut. If the smell test raises a flag, what's next? Google Light.
Yep. And light is the key word. You're not doing a PhD thesis here. Just grab the specific phrase or claim that felt weird, maybe a quote it attributed or a statistic, and search for it, plus the words fact check or official source.
And you're just looking for quick confirmation or denial.
Exactly. Do the first few results instantly back it up, or do they immediately contradict it or raise questions? Usually no within about 30 seconds.
Okay, and the final step on the ladder.
Cross-check. This is crucial if the information really matters. Ask a knowledgeable colleague, hey, does this sound right to you? Or even better, ask a different AI model the same question.
Use a competing AI.
Yes. If two different AI models give you the same specific, perhaps obscure piece of information, that's actually quite reassuring. But if they give you conflicting answers, that's a massive red flag.
It means you absolutely have to stop and find the real source yourself.
Absolutely. Stop trusting the machines and do the human work.
Now, we touched on bias earlier. This is tricky territory, but important. AI isn't born neutral, is it? It just reflects the biases in the vast amounts of data it was trained on.
That's right. All the human biases, assumptions, political leanings, cultural viewpoints that exist in the text and images it learned from, they get baked in. Remember the parrot trained in one pub idea?
It'll sound like the regulars in that specific pub.
And it'll present those opinions as if they're universal facts. So if you notice the AI starting to sound preachy or taking a very strong stance on a debatable issue or using loaded language, that's likely the training data bias showing through.
Starts sounding like it's campaigning for something.
Yeah, wearing a sort of moral halo spun from statistics.
So how do we counter that without needing a degree in AI ethics?
You adjust the prompt. You explicitly tell it to be neutral and descriptive, not opinionated or prescriptive. Rephrase your request. Present both sides of this argument evenly without making a judgment.
Or maybe describe the different viewpoints on this topic, but do not advocate for any single one.
Exactly. You're reminding the tool its job is to inform or execute a task, not to lecture or convert you. You are setting the neutrality parameters.
Which brings us neatly to the final, maybe most important point, the golden rule of ownership. AI can do the drafting, but the buck stops with us.
This is absolutely non-negotiable. The AI doesn't have a reputation. You do. The AI can't be held legally accountable. You can.
So the practical advice here.
Before you hit send, before you publish, before you act on its output, make it yours. A simple trick is to rewrite the final paragraph or even just the concluding sentence entirely in your own voice. Does it still sound like you? Does it pass your personal judgment test?
Because if it goes wrong...
If it goes wrong, saying, oh, but the AI wrote that just won't cut it. It won't wash with your boss, your clients, or maybe even legally. The responsibility, the moral weight, the consequences that stays human, that calculation is ours alone.
That's a really crucial distinction.
Yeah.
It separates us from the algorithm.
Completely.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, it feels like the biggest benefit of AI right now isn't some sci-fi revolution, but actually just trimming the boring stuff.
Pretty much. Handling the invoices, drafting standard customer replies, summarizing meeting notes, doing that first passive research. It gives you back those precious minutes that, actually make up your working life.
It's about reclaiming time for the stuff that needs real human thought.
Which fits that co-pilot analogy we talked about. You're the pilot. AI is a sophisticated instrument panel. Let it handle the routine calculations, the checklists, the flight path adjustments.
But my hands stay on the controls.
Your hands stay on the controls. Because it's brilliant with the details, but it has absolutely no grasp of the big picture, the why of the journey.
There was a really interesting kind of provocative thought in the materials about how AI acts like a mirror.
Yeah, that was fascinating. The idea is that AI, unlike any tool before it, reflects you back at yourself. It's like a mirror polished smooth by statistics. Meaning the quality of what you get back directly reflects the clarity, the curiosity, and the discipline you put into your prompt.
Hmm.
If you ask vague, sloppy questions.
You get vague, swappy echoes back.
Exactly. So the real challenge isn't fiddling with the AI's settings, it's using the interaction with AI to sharpen your own thinking, to become better at asking questions, better at defining problems. It exposes your own level of intellectual rigor.
That's a powerful way to think about it. It's a tool for self-improvement, almost.
In a way, yes. And despite all this incredible complexity, the ultimate human edge, the thing that keeps us firmly in charge, might be simpler than we think.
Which is?
Instinct and humor. Humor is the acid test. No algorithm has ever really got humor, has it? They can generate things that look like jokes, following a pattern, but they miss the spark.
The mischief, the understanding of the absurd.
Exactly. Laughter is kind of how we cope with the weirdness of being human, isn't it? That capacity for instinct, for insight, for seeing the funny side. That's the stuff AI can't replicate.
So, as people go back and start using these tools, maybe the final thought to keep in mind is that quote we found.
I think it sums it up perfectly. AI can count the bricks, quote the architect, and draw the plan, but only you know where the front door goes.